Pleasant good morning, Virgin Islands. The Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance is in order. At this time, I want to say a pleasant good morning. My name is Senator Novell E. Francis Jr., and I'm the chair of the Committee of Budget, Appropriations and Finance. Good morning to all present, listening, and viewing. Today, the committee will receive the budget presentations of the Office of the Governor and from the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, which is one of the most important of the territory's revenue-generating agencies. The Lieutenant Governor's Office will defend their proposed general fund request of $7,743,246, and the Office of the Governor will defend their budget request of $40,087,494. Over the weeks of this budget process, my colleagues and I have heard the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today, the Lieutenant Governor's Office and the Office of the Governor will present their operational accomplishments, challenges, performance matrix, as well as any special circumstances that may affect their fiscal year 2026 budgetary needs. These hearings are a valuable window into government's operation. Today's budget presentation, the supporting post-audit analysis, and all documents presented thus far can be found on the legislative website, www.legvi.org, in the Budget, Appropriations and Finance Committee folder. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize our ambassador, Michelle Smith, again, her accomplishment where she continued to put the Virgin Islands on the map, where she won recently. Again, she won a silver medal for the first time. A female from the Virgin Islands have been able to be placed in that area. So we want to recognize her again and support the work that she continued to do and recognize the contribution to the Virgin Islands. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone to please put your cell phone on silent to avoid any interruptions during this meeting, and to ask the Madam Clerk to please call the roll.
A. Blyden. Senator Blyden present. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff absent. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Ray Fonseca absent. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr. Senator Francis Jr. present. Senator Hubert L. Frederick. Senator Hubert L. Frederick present. Senator Mary C. James.
I am here.
Senator James present. Senator Kurt A. Vele. Senator Vele present. Mr. Chair, 5 present and 2 absent.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We do have a quorum and prepared to proceed. Do we have any correspondence to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You may proceed.
July 25th, 2025. The Honorable Novell E. Francis Jr., Chairman, Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance, Legislature of the Virgin Islands, 3022 Estate, Golden Rock, Christenstead, St. Croix. Subject: request to be excused for a late arrival. Dear Chairman Francis, please accept this correspondence as a formal notice that I'll be arriving late to today's Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance due to a prior engagement. I appreciate your understanding and extend my thanks for your continued leadership. Cordially, Senator Ray Fonseca. That ends the correspondence, Mr. Chair.
Very well, please mark Senator Fonseca as excused, and we'll recognize him as soon as he arrives. We also want to recognize the presence of non-committee member, Senator Angel Bolquez, Senator at Large. Good morning, Senator. Welcome. And at this time, Madam Clerk, please read today's agenda into the record.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance will meet on Friday, July 25th, 2025, 10 a.m. in the Earle B. Ottley Legislative Hall on St. Thomas to receive testimony on the Fiscal Year 2026 budget. Block 1, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Office of the Lieutenant Governor, invited testifier, Nadja Harrigan, Esquire, Acting Chief of Staff. Block 2, 1 to 3 p.m., Office of the Governor, invited testifier, Kevin A. Williams Sr., Chief of Staff. This ends the reading of today's agenda, Mr. Chair.
Very well, thank you very much. Please also recognize the presence of committee member, Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. At this time, we'll go to the testifiers table. We have the members of the Lieutenant Governor's Office team seated at the testifiers table, so we go to them real quickly for introductions. Good morning, Attorney Acting Chief of Staff, Nadja Harrigan.
Good morning. Nadja D. Harrigan, Esquire, Acting Chief of Staff / Legal Counsel.
Very well. Ms. Farrington.
Good morning. Claudette Farrington, Director of Business and Financial Management.
Good morning. Denise Johannes, Director of the Division of Corporations and Trademarks.
Good morning, Chris George, Administrator, GIS Division, Project Manager.
Good morning, Ludens A. Romney, Tax Assessor.
Good morning, Erica Dover, Recorder of Deeds Office, St. Thomas District.
Good morning, Magdalene Burke, Assistant Director and Acting Chief of Securities Registration.
Rose Maduro. Good morning, Rose Marie Maduro, VI Ship, Medicare.
Good morning, Kishma Dorset, District Supervisor of Passport Services.
We'll go over to St. Croix.
Good morning, Ruthlyn Peter, Supervisor, Passport Services, St. Croix.
Morning.
Good morning, Shalma Moorhead, Assistant Tax Assessor.
Morning.
Good morning, Glendina Matthew, Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. C. Portia Joseph, District Recorder, Recorder of Deeds Office, St. Croix.
Morning. Oh, at this time.
Good morning,
Yes, we have
Brent Ledham, Tax Collector.
All right. Can we have media? Can we just show Mr. Ledham real quick? Make sure his camera is working. He's virtual. There we go. Good morning, Mr. Ledham. Let's try that again.
Yes, good morning, Brent Ledham, Tax Collector.
Very well. Thank you. At this time, Attorney Nadja Harrigan, the Acting Chief of Staff, you're recognized for your testimony.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning. Committee Chairperson, Honorable Novell E. Francis Jr., and honorable members of the 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, other senators present today, as well as the viewing and listening audiences. My name is Nadja D. Harrigan, Esquire, Acting Chief of Staff and Legal Counsel for the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, LGO, which is under the leadership of the Honorable Tregenza A. Roach, Esquire, Lieutenant Governor of the United States Virgin Islands. I most respectfully appear before you today on behalf of Lieutenant Governor Roach to present testimony in the support of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor's Fiscal Year 2026 budget request. In summary, I have included accomplishments for each division within LGO for fiscal year 2025 and their goals for fiscal year 2026. Today, I am accompanied in the St. Thomas Legislative Chambers and virtually from Legislative Chambers on St. Croix by Ms. Claudette Farrington, Director of Business and Financial Management, Attorney Glendina Matthew, Director of the Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulations, Mr. Ludens A. Romney, the Tax Assessor for the Division of Real Property Tax, Mr. Leardom, the Tax Collector for the Division of Real Property Tax, Mr. L. Chris George, Administrator for the Division of Geospatial Information Systems, Ms. Denise Johannes, Director of the Division of Corporations and Trademarks, Ms. Erica Dover, the Recorder of Deeds for the St. Thomas St. John District, Ms. C. Portia Pierre, the Recorder of Deeds for the St. Croix District, Ms. Kishma Dorset, Supervisor of the Passport, Acceptance, Acceptance Facility for the St. Thomas St. John District, Ms. Ruthline Peters, Supervisor for the Passport Acceptance Facility for the St. Croix District, Ms. Rose Maduro, Director of the VI SHIP/Medicare Program, Mr. Lance McKay, Director of Management Information Systems, Ms. Magdalene Burke, Assistant Director and Chief of Securities Registration in the Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation, Ms. Shalma Moorhead, the Assistant Tax Assessor for the Division of Real Property Tax, and Ms. Laura Bedminster, Assistant Director of the Division of Corporation and Trademarks. Collectively, the divisions within LGO provide essential services to the people of the Virgin Islands. These essential services include, but are not limited to, 1, the licensing, registration, and regulation of businesses that fall within the jurisdiction of respective divisions. 2, the recording and provision of access to critical land ownership documents and information. 3, the collection and provision of access to geospatial data used by public and private entities that provide emergency, navigational, and other essential services. 4, the acceptance of passport applications, which makes it possible for members of this community to travel around the world. 5, the appointment of notaries and the processing of apostilles to authenticate official documents to be used and recognized in foreign countries when traveling in and out of the United States. 6, assessment of real property in the Virgin Islands and collections of taxes thereto. And 7, the education and counseling of the members of this community regarding the services offered by LGO divisions through outreach. LGO's divisions generate significant revenue for the government of the Virgin Islands, making LGO the second largest revenue-generating government agency in the territory. In fiscal year 2024, LGO collected $124,303,898.92 in revenues for the government of the Virgin Islands. As of 2025, the divisions within LGO have collected $74,939,992.72 and $1,282,024 in money transmission fees, for a total of $76,222,016.07, whereas $7,576,619.91 was collected during the same period last fiscal year. The total revenue collections for FY 2025 across LGO's divisions is estimated to be $128,846,576 and $2,227,024 in money transition fees, for a total of $131,073,600, which is a 5.45 increase of collections in FY 2024. The total revenue collections across LGO's divisions for fiscal year 2026 is projected to be $128,829,263 and $3,780,000 in money transition fees, for a total of $132,609,263. Since the beginning of fiscal year 2025, the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, under the direction of Lieutenant Governor Roach, continues to provide the above-referenced critical services to members of this community and to generate significant revenues for this territory with transparency, efficiency, consistency, and integrity. The accomplishments and goals of LGO's various divisions play a critical role in the efforts of the Brian Roach administration to help restore, rebuild, and maintain a more resilient Virgin Islands community. LGO's budget for the FY 2026 has increased from $7,187,246 in FY 2025 to $7,743,246, a difference of $556 or an increase of 7.74%, which will fund at least 91 positions. Despite challenges during the FY 2025, the very dedicated, experienced, qualified, and competent staff across all of LGO's various divisions continue to perform their duties and responsibilities effectively and efficiently, and have had several noteworthy accomplishments as a result of their hard work, dedication, and continued sacrifices. On behalf of Lieutenant Governor, we publicly commend the members of the LGO staff, without whom LGO could not have achieved any of its goals, which include, inter alia, the following. The Division of Business and Financial Management continues to serve the nucleus of all financial activities and operations for the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, including preparing and managing LGO's budget, providing budgetary support, and overseeing the day-to-day financial procurement of all divisions within LGO, to include facilitating the procurement of supplies and services, and centralizing the maintenance of all personnel time and attendance activity, financial records, processing vendor payments, including payments for all leases and contractual obligations of LGO's various divisions, and processing the payroll. Additionally, the department is responsible for the overall collections of revenues within the direct oversight of cashier services. This division has worked tirelessly on LGO's fiscal 2026 budget, which was submitted to the Office of Management and Budget via OpenGov. The division also implemented the fiscal year 2025 salary increases for unionized employees under the Master Agreement for Steelworkers of America, coupled with processing retroactive payments associated with the increases. Additionally, the division participated in beginning negotiations for USW Supervisors Union. We are pleased to report that the long-awaited services to repair and renovate the Scion Farm Great House on St. Croix has begun. The contract was awarded to DVD Construction, Inc. The Scion Farm project has been underway and commenced on or about February 27, 2025, according to the notice to proceed. As you may be aware, repairs to this historic structure must meet exacting standards and must be closely monitored. The division actively participates in bi-weekly meetings regarding the progress of this ongoing renovation project and anticipates the completion of this project by year's end. The division oversaw the completion of the elevator repair measures at the main administrative building of the Office of Lieutenant Governor. Additionally, we participated in selection of janitorial services for the St. Thomas St. John District, coupled with involvement in other evaluation committees for our agency and/or a specific division under our agency. The division facilitated filling 2 new real property tax appraiser 1 positions, and a current employee was promoted to the same position in the Office of the Tax Assessor Real Property Tax Division. Sadly, in February, LGO lost the former tax assessor, Ira Mills, who gave 9 years of service to the Division of Real Property Tax since March 2016 as the territory's tax assessor, and 5 years from 2011 to 2016 as Director of Business and Financial Management. His dedication, contributions, and service to LGO were highly valued and will not be forgotten. The division has facilitated filling the position, and we currently have a new tax assessor. In FY 2025, LGO had 8 separations to include 5 resignations and 2 retirements. There are 29 vacancies at LGO. We reported last year that LGO was relocating to the VI SHIP Medicare office from the San Juan Louis Hospital to the new Caribe location in Estate Castle, Coakley, that has been accomplished, and we are actively serving clients at the new location. The Passport Division was relocated from Government House in Frederickstead to the Caribe location, and the Recorder of Deeds office has been relocated from Government House in Christiansted to the Caribe location, and the Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation has been relocated from the Christiansted location in Government House to the new Caribe location. Additionally, cashiers have been relocated to the new Caribe location. All of the aforementioned divisions are actively seeing clients at the new location. As stated in our testimony last year in February 2024, LGO purchased the first bank building in Christiansted, St. Croix with a legislative appropriation. The first bank building will house the Office of the Tax Assessor, Office of the Recorder of Deeds, and tellers. We subsequently discovered that 2 air conditioning units and a condenser must be replaced, and we have commenced the process to procure the units and services. Additionally, a build-out would be needed to accommodate the divisions that will be housed at that location. We are in the process of obtaining the specifications for solicitation and are diligently striving to fix these challenges to complete the relocation to the building as soon as possible. We have anticipated moving into this building sooner, but the need to make other moves, such as the ones mentioned above, had to be prioritized in the interest of workplace health and safety. As example, our Recorder of Deeds had to be moved from the Christiansted location because of high mold counts, which made that location unusable. The division's goals and objectives for FY 2026 include, but are not limited to, 1, attending meetings to monitor the progress and completion of the repairs and renovations to the Siren Farm Great House. 2, continue negotiations for the USW Supervisors Union. 3, participation in the selection of vendors for necessary services that would involve supply contracts, cleaning, exterminating, etc. 4, facilitate filling positions in various divisions due to resignations and retirements. 5, prepare and submit the FY 2027 budget to OMB via OpenGov. 6, facilitate needed remediation efforts to address challenges pertaining to mold, mildew, etc. 7, and continue to process LGO's payroll and payments to LGO's vendors for services rendered and to landlords for LGO's office locations. We commend the very small staff of the Division of Business and Financial Management for their hard work, commitment, dedication, and sacrifice to ensure that LGO employees receive compensation for their work, have safe and comfortable working environments, have the resources they need to perform their duties and responsibilities, and are able to provide the crucial services to members of the Virgin Islands community and to generate revenues for this government. In the administrative office, thank you, Director Claudette Farrington, Passion Dixon, Jermaine Estrel, Jasmine Powell, and Facilities, Matty Seeley, Jalon James, and Jacqueline Jones. Additionally, we want to applaud the employees of Revenue Collections who diligently and tirelessly accept payment to the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for your service and long hours of work, particularly around June 30th and August 30th. Thank you to the Chiefs of Revenue Collection, Arlene Chandler and Anita Bright, and Akila Thompson, Shivani Pennyfeather, Colette Lake, Darlene Rabstat, Shani White, Janester Benjamin, Glory V. Carino, Eloise Charles, Tashawn Matthew, Marcia Pickren, and Luana Williams. The Division of Banking and Insurance and Financial Regulation is a regulatory agency with statutory and administrative authority to license, regulate, and supervise banks, insurance, and other financial entities and related service providers, as well as administer the Virgin Islands Unclaimed Property Program subject to Titles 9, 12A, 22, and 28 of the Virgin Islands Code. The Lieutenant Governor serves as Commissioner of Insurance, Chairman of the Virgin Islands Banking Board, and Administrator of Securities and Unclaimed Property. The division collected $34,546,404 in FY 2024. As of June 30th, 2025, the division has collected in the Banks and Insurance Fund $19,355,984.57, the Financial Services Fund $7,972,169, and in the Money Transition Fund, $1,282,024.41, for a grand total of $28,610,176.98, which is a 9% increase over $26,248,746, which was collected in the same period in FY 2024. The division is projected to collect $37,745,179 to include $2,227,024 in money transition fees in FY 2025, which is a 9.2% increase over FY 2024, and $39,415,000, including $3,780,000 in transmission fees in FY 2026. On November 16th of 2024, at the National Association of Insurance Commissioners Fall National Meeting in Denver, Colorado, Lieutenant Governor Trugenza A. Roach, Esquire, and his team of key persons from the division gave a presentation, which is the final component of the accreditation review, for consideration of accreditation. We are pleased to report that the division was granted reaccreditation status for another 5-year period, which will allow other jurisdictions to readily accept financial examinations of domestic multi-state insurance companies conducted by the division, and will ensure other regulators and the insurance industry of the division's compliance with standards, rules, and regulations established by the NAIC. As a part of its efforts to maintain accreditation, the staff will continue to draft proposed legislation for the approval of this body to update the insurance code of the Virgin Islands. As stated in LGO's budget presentation last year for FY 2025, as a part of its ongoing efforts to modernize regulatory operations and enhance public service delivery, the division officially launched Avenue Connect on April 2nd, 2024. This comprehensive digital platform was developed to streamline and centralize the administration of unclaimed property, making it significantly easier for reporting institutions to meet statutory obligations and for individuals to locate and reclaim their unclaimed funds. It allows holders of unclaimed property, not real property, in form of a bank accounts and refunds owned by insurance companies, utility companies, etc., to electronically file unclaimed property reports. The division has created and made available unclaimed property listings via the Office of Lieutenant Governor's website from year 2007 to 2024 on the division's webpage, and will continue to publish an unclaimed property listing annually in a paper of general circulation. As of June 30th, 2025, Avenue Connect has facilitated the successful return of $1,002,044 to 251 residents across the territory. This measurable outcome highlights the platform's tangible impact and underscores the division's commitment to reuniting rightful owners with their property. Beyond its financial benefits, the initiative reflects the division's dedication to fiscal responsibility, community, customer protection, and restoration of public trust in government processes. We are pleased to report that on March 24th of 2025, the division received the prestigious National Compliance Advancement of the Year Award from the Unclaimed Property Professionals Organization, UPPO, which is recognized the Office of the Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands for the efficient and timely implementation of its online unclaimed property website, a major milestone in improving access, transparency, and service to the public. The division has also successfully implemented Act Number 8936 as amended and codified in Title IX, Virgin Islands Code, Subchapter 2, which establishes the Money Transmission Fee and Money Transmission Revolving Fund. The Act mandates all licensed money transmitters that originates money transmission in the Virgin Islands and terminates outside the United States, with a few specifically identified exceptions, collect 3% from consumers on all transmissions. This act was created by the 35th Legislature of the Virgin Islands in an effort to help bridge the government of the Virgin Islands revenue shortfall. The division was tasked with administering the act within 90 days of its enactment on October 16, 2024. Remittance of the fee is required no later than 10 days after the last day of the calendar month during which the fees are collected. As of June 30th, 2025, the division has collected $1,282,024.41 under the provisions of Act Number 8936. In January 2025, the division participated in a multi-state settlement coordinated by the North American Securities Administrators Association, NASAA. As a result of the division's participation, the securities unit received a settlement in the amount of $321,000, reinforcing the division's ongoing commitment to investor protection, regulatory enforcement, and financial accountability. The division anticipates participating in the upcoming multi-state settlement in FY 2026 and subsequent fiscal years. The Securities Unit continues to accept security notice filings and payments across all categories of registrations. Thus far, in FY 2025, the unit has collected $5,796,504.72. The division is committed to attending training and conferences in furtherance of continued education in banking, insurance, and financial regulation. The division attended training and advancement conferences held by the NAIC, National Multi-State Licensing System, Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and Registry, and the North America Securities Administrators throughout FY 2025, and will continue to attend training and conferences to advance skills and continuing education through FY 2026. In FY 2025, the division provided outreach to inform the citizens of the Virgin Islands about their mandates. In furtherance thereof, the division developed and distributed brochures, bulletins, and booklets to educate consumers on key topics such as banking, insurance, unclaimed property, securities, and investment scams in alignment with the division's consumer protection mandate. They also made information available at cultural events and food fairs, the VI Housing Finance Authority Expo, and partnered with non-profit organizations on St. Croix and St. Thomas to distribute educational materials, reaching approximately 465 individuals across the territory. In FY 2026, the division will continue to provide outreach, which is vital to the education of the Virgin Islands community about the units under its supervision. The division also successfully implemented the NASAA model rule on investment advisor representative continuing education, which was adopted on November 24th of 2020 and went into effect on January 1st of 2025, mandating annual continuing education for both state-registered and federally covered investment advisor representatives. In furtherance thereof, the division will be conducting required examinations of state-registered investment advisor and broker-dealers using the NASAA examination model system, NEMO. In FY 2026, the division strives to participate in the AARP TV program as well as other outreach programs to discuss securities, scams, and investment fraud, commence examinations of state-registered investment advisor and broker-dealers using the NASAA examination model system, and will continue to coordinate and host Virgin Islands insurance industry symposiums in both districts. Due to retirement, this division has lost and will continue to lose crucial employees and continues to face challenges in attracting applicants with requisite specialized educational requirements and skill sets to fill these positions. For example, the position of Financial Services Examiner conducts examinations and investigations and reviews financial statements for insurance companies and other licensed entities conducting business in the territory, which requires an accounting background. This position is important because it encompasses the statutory duties and responsibilities of the division, and it is required to maintain accreditation status with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Notwithstanding this challenge, the staff conducted examinations, investigations, and annual reviews of financial statements for insurance companies and other licensed entities conducting business in the territory. However, it has been a challenge for the division to conduct financial analysis of licensed companies doing business in the territory within the desired target period of 60 days from the date of receipt. Therefore, hiring of additional staff is critical for succession planning, which currently has vacant position for banks and insurance regulatory analyst, chief insurance licensing examiner, consumer protection and education officer, insurance licensing examiner, Financial Services Examiner, and Securities Registration Examiner. We have received from the Division of Personnel listings for the Financial Services Examiner and Securities Registration open positions and will be conducting interviews within the next 2 weeks. We commend and thank the hardworking staff of the division who continue to perform their statutorily mandated duties competently and effectively to ensure that the best interest of the people of this territory is served. Thank you, Director Glendina Matthew Esquire, Suzette Richards Esquire, Astrid Bertrand, Shalene Saldano, Sylvia Brown, Pauline Lynch, and Anna Lewis in the St. Croix District, and Assistant Director and Chief of Securities Registration, Magdalene Burke, Natoya Cole, Juliette Daniel, Martin Emanuel, Kathleen Fleming, Beryl Fleming, Ariane Glang, Valencia Patrick Morse, Candace Richards, Vanessa Richards, Louise Williams, Isaac Banson, Anna Alexander in the St. Thomas St. John District. The Division of Real Property Tax administers and enforces all laws relating to the assessment, levy, and collection of real property taxes and to the attachment and sale of real property for non-payment of real property taxes. The Division of Real Property Tax comprises the Office of the Tax Assessor and the Office of the Tax Collector. The Office of the Tax Assessor prepares property tax bills, which are sent to real property tax owners in June, informing them of real property tax arrearages and public sewer fees owed, as well as any interest and penalty owed if applicable. The Office of the Tax Collector receives payments for real property taxes and, upon request, issues tax clearance letters. Pursuant to Title 33 of the Virgin Islands Code, Section 2492, real property taxes are due on June 30th and are considered to be delinquent if not paid by August 30th of each year. Based on the aforementioned deadlines, the Division experiences an insurgence of real property tax revenue in July and August before property taxes become delinquent. In FY 2024, the Office of the Tax Collector was projected to collect $61 million, and the office actually collected $62,771,876 in real property taxes. In FY 2025, the Office of the Tax Collector was projected to collect $64 million. As of June 30th, 2025, the Office of the Tax Collector collected $24,332,151. When real property taxes are delinquent, the Division of Real Property has options to collect real property tax arrearages through tax lien sales, auctions, and judicial foreclosure and rem proceedings, the latter of which is initiated with a court filing. Pursuant to Title 33 of the Virgin Islands Code, Section 2541D, residents who are considered middle and low to moderate income, veterans, first-time homebuyers, seniors, and persons with disabilities will have the opportunity to obtain property through this process. We are currently finalizing the rules and regulations for the judicial foreclosure and rem proceedings to bring them to fruition. Installment plans are available for property owners who cannot afford to pay their property taxes in full. By entering into a payment plan, it will stop the accrual of interest and penalties during the period that the plan is in effect. Interest and penalties that are accrued prior to the execution of the installment plan are not removed. In FY 2024, real property tax owners entered into 581 installment plans, and as of June 30th, 2025, 371 installment plans have been established by homeowners who want to fulfill their obligations to pay their real property taxes. The Office of the Tax Collector anticipates that 570 installment plans will be entered by August 30th, 2025, after which real property taxes are deemed delinquent. Real property taxes are a vital source of revenue for all jurisdictions and countries all over the world. Therefore, it is crucial and essential that every real property tax owner fulfills his/her obligation to pay their real respective property taxes. The online Citizens Access portal at https://propertytax.vi.gov can be accessed 24 hours a day from the comfort of your home, place of employment, or vacation spot to pay your real property taxes. Installment plans can also be entered into and maintained at the same website. In an effort to increase the real property tax revenue, the Office of the Tax Collector continues to contact property owners to pay their respective taxes and public sewer fees, and if applicable, interest and penalties. The office has also commenced public awareness campaigns, as evidenced in the article in the St. Thomas Source on July 10, 2025, wherein tax collector Brent Leardom was interviewed. The Real Property Tax Division is seriously committed to providing public awareness campaigns via various social media and radio in FY 2026. The message is clear: pay your real property taxes. As stated in our testimony last year, pursuant to the applicable statute, a mass reappraisal must be conducted every 5 years. Based on appreciated assistance from the Office of Management and Budget, the Real Property Tax Division received 3 real property tax appraiser positions, which were filled in May 2025 in the St. Thomas St. John District. In FY 2026, our goal is to acquire additional appraiser positions. Additional appraisers would inevitably reduce the cost of a mass appraisal because if we have sufficient local appraisers, they can learn the process from the successful contractor and continue the appraisal process once the successful contractor leaves, failing which a contractor would have to bring their crew of appraisers, which would increase the cost of a mass real appraisal contract. In addition, in FY 2026, the division will strive to provide the appraisers with required training from the IAAO. Due to lack of adequate staff, only 883 properties have been inspected in FY 2025 thus far. In the St. Thomas St. John District, 28,716 parcels should be inspected and 32,028 parcels in the St. Croix District. Armed with additional appraisers and other personnel in the Real Property Tax Division, this will enable us to accomplish and fulfill our mandates more efficiently and effectively. Additionally, LGO requests that consideration be given to removing or increasing the $500,000 cap on the tax assessor revolving fund to assist the division in generating more revenue for the territory and in carrying out all of its legislative mandates. Pursuant to Title 33 of the Virgin Island Code, Section 2456, the Office of the Tax Assessor Revolving Fund shall consist of 1% of real property taxes collected annually by the tax assessor or an amount not to exceed $500,000 per annum. For example, at FY 2024, if there were no cap, the Real Property Tax Division would have realized 1% of $63 million or $630,000 for the tax assessor revolving fund. The difference is patently clear. We publicly commend and thank the very dedicated and hardworking staff of the Division of the Real Property Tax for their hard work in continuing to serve the members of the Virgin Islands community and generating the necessary revenue for the government of the Virgin Islands. Thank you, Tax Assessor Ludens A. Rumney, Deputy Paulette Eibel, Welby Warner, Sakina George, Paula Matthew, Colleen Wallace, Deborah Maximum, and Sandra Gustav, Cadastro Wayne Callwood, Alita Bradshaw, and Sharim Jones, and appraisers Joanna Stefferson, Asham Nibs, Daryl Goodings, and Shaquan Wallace in the St. Thomas St. John District, and Assistant Tax Assessor Shalma Moorhead, Zulma Aloyo, Ruth Perkins, Pamela Ritter, Laura Acoy, Sakina Rolfe, Carmen Francis, and Cadastro, Margaret Acosta, and Chanel Bailey Porter. And appraisers Lilia Benjamin, Miguel Encarnacion, Henrique Alpin, Albert Shine, Michael Williams in the St. Croix District, Tax Collector Brent A. Leardom, Latoya Liebert, and Aaliyah Alexander in the St. Thomas St. John District, and Reginald Peterson, Jacqueline Rosario, and Nigel Gore in the St. Croix District. The Division of Geospatial Information Systems of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor is responsible for providing the critical geospatial backbone for the territory of the United States Virgin Islands. The GISD, under the supervision of its administrator, delivers the development, maintenance, and distribution of the Virgin Islands infrastructure, GIS information and related databases, and GISD implements GISD policies, procedures, standards, and provides ultra-agency technical leadership, information management, and project coordination. Additionally, GISD produces income by networking and providing services to local government agencies, federal government agencies, and the private sector through the administration of the GISD platform. These capabilities have positioned the Office of Lieutenant Governor as the Caribbean regional leader in the field of GIS in government infrastructure. In FY 2024 and FY 2025, GISD expended $746,125.50 in federal funding. GISD will receive $4,590,519.03 in federal funding in FY 2026 to be utilized for street addressing initiatives projects. In FY 2025, GISD completed the St. John SAI project for the island of St. John. This means that St. John is distinguished as being the first island in the Caribbean to have complete urban grid, where every highway, road, street, and lane is named and each parcel uniquely identifiable. And any utility or infrastructure project is now enabled by a reliable grid, which can lead utility, service, and emergency vehicles to a specified location. Other accomplishments include expending over $1.7 million of the $5.3 million funding for the Territory Street Addressing Initiative final phase. There's no local match. Continued collaboration with USPS, Vitima, and E911 for active transition to utilizing USVI street addresses, facilitating the manufacture and installation of street name signs in St. John, and will execute the final phase work on St. Thomas and St. Croix. While we await the manufacture and installation of these signs, you will note that you will have already seen the illuminated highway signs on specified roadways in each island of the territory. GISD continues to partner with the Department of Public Works to manage the Critical Infrastructure Data Sharing Program as a cornerstone for the USVI Utilities Coordination Group. It plays a fundamental part in the success of the implementation of Act 7798, otherwise known as Call Before You Dig legislation. To realize the goals of the Street Addressing Initiative, GISD continues to assist various Virgin Islands communities and homeowners associations in naming streets in their neighborhoods. GISD has been actively talking to citizens by going into neighborhoods and hosting radio shows. You may believe that everyone has heard the jingle, "Name Your Road," on the radio, or when customers are placed on hold at LGO. GISD also continues to update USVI road and estate data on the Global OpenStreetMap platform, which is the basis for all global mapping engines such as Google Map, Apple Maps, and ESRI. We are pleased to report that Phase 1 of the Benchmark Network Control Project, funded by FEMA at $7.8 million, which installed over 18 new NOAA National Geodetic Survey markers throughout the territory, has been completed. Additionally, GISD strives to complete Phase 2 of the Benchmark Network Control Project, which would install survey benchmarks in key residential and estate areas across the Virgin Islands. The benchmarks will provide useful civil and construction industry standard latitudes, longitudes, and elevations, which will improve more accurate information for surveying property. In FY 2026, GISD has the following goals: complete St. Thomas, St. Croix, and Water Island as a part of the territory-wide, complete the final phase of the SAI, facilitate the manufacture and installation of street signs for the entire territory, complete Phase 2 of the Benchmark Network Control Project, which will establish a more resilient geographic grid for the territory, as well as improve our overall GPS capabilities, and update all utilities agencies' GIS data in the Critical Infrastructure Data Sharing Program to facilitate the best implementation of the Call Before You Dig legislation pursuant to Act 7798. We commend the very small yet hardworking and dedicated staff of this division who have worked tirelessly in the street addressing and street naming initiatives, which will improve and assist in saving the lives of citizens of this community. Thank you, Administrator L. Chris George and John Gums in the St. Thomas St. John District, and Pedro Naives in the St. Croix District. The Recorder of Deeds, ROD, is responsible for recording and filing of deeds, mortgages, contracts, liens, including federal and local, releases of mortgages, and all other legal instruments relating to the transfer of title and encumbrances on all real and personal property. The Recorder of Deeds Office is responsible for the sale of all revenue stamps. In FY 2024, the Recorder of Deeds Office collected $17,569,020 in stamp taxes and other fees. As of June 30th, 2025, the Recorder of Deeds Office collected $14,852,733 in stamp taxes and other fees, a 13.4% increase compared to FY 2024. ROD collected $13,101,804. In FY 2025, the Recorder of Deeds Office is estimated to collect $19,098,659 in stamp taxes and other fees. That is an 8.7% increase over FY 2024 collections. In our testimony last year, we stated that one of our goals would be to provide continuous online service to our customers when there are service interruptions, such as those caused by electrical power outages. In FY 2025, the contract with GovOS Inc. provides complete online cloud services. Therefore, we have been able to provide uninterrupted service to our customers. In FY 2026, when negotiating the terms of the new contract, we will strive to expand online access to ownership index cards and estate cards and scan ancient records from the early 1900s into the database, thereby achieving 100 automation of services it offers. In FY 2026, the office will engage in outreach with other divisions, such as the Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation, to provide brochures regarding the procedure to record documents. We commend the knowledgeable, experienced, and hardworking and dedicated staff of this office for the crucial service they provide to this community. Thank you to Recorder of Deeds C. Portia Joseph and Louis Felix in the St. Croix District, and Recorder of Deeds Erica Dover, Ingrid Lake, and Rachel Griffin in the St. Thomas St. John District. The Division of Corporations and Trademarks collected $7,843,588.72 in registration fees, filing fees, and franchise fees in FY 2024. As of May 30th, 2025, the division collected $3,546,693.50. And as of June 30th of 2025, the division has collected $7,049,691.38 in registration fees, filing fees, and other franchise taxes. The division experienced its highest peak in collections in the month of June, as June 30th is the deadline for registered entities to pay their franchise taxes. By the end of FY 2025, the division is estimated to collect $8,609,691.38 in registration fees, filing fees, and franchise fees, which is a 9.77% increase over the revenue collected in FY 2024. In FY 2026, the division is projected to collect $8,575,000. In FY 2025, based on upgrades to the Catalyst system, the division provided online access to all of its registered entities and continues to provide outreach to its users to assist them in remaining compliant with franchise tax and annual report requirements. The division also continued to provide outstanding customer service. In FY 2026, the division projects that additional features will be added to the Catalyst system to include streamlining the system to reduce customer glitches, accessing name availability without staff involvement, adding conversion services from partnerships to corporations and LLCs and vice versa, and enhancing delivery of services to customers. The division staff are always ready to assist customers and answer any inquiries. Thank you to Director Denise Johannes, Assistant Director Laura Bedminster, Aloma Hindman, Jeanette Reimer, and Angela Mills in the St. Thomas St. John District, and Assistant Director Lynn Isidore in the St. Croix District. The VI SHIP Medicare program is comprised of two federal programs. One, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, known as SHIP, and two, the Medicare program continues to realize its mission to the members of this community through education, outreach, counseling, and training. This program provides Medicare information with a team of counselors who provide assistance in person and by phone, group presentation, and utilizes a variety of media sources to educate our community about Medicare. The program offers one-on-one assistance, counseling, and education to Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to help them make informed decisions about their care, benefits, and services, support people with limited incomes, as well as beneficiaries under the age of 65 with disabilities, and individuals who are duly eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. The program proudly delivered guidance with billing inquiries, the Medicare appeal process, and Medicare enrollment, and assisted Medicare beneficiaries with enrollment into the Medicare Prescription Plan Part D and Medigap supplement plans. In FY 2025, the program has the following accomplishments. 520 Medicare-eligible individuals were served at the VI SHIP offices. 367 Medicare-eligible individuals, caregivers, and family members attended VI SHIP outreach events. The program also participated in the 2025 USVI Wellness Fair by distributing educational brochures, flyers, and other giveaways to over 1,100 clients who were in attendance. In FY 2026, the program strives to remain as the known and trusted community resource for Medicare information, continue services to empower, educate, and assist Medicare-eligible individuals, their family, and caregivers through outreach, counseling, and training, increased contacts with hard-to-reach Medicare beneficiaries who are under the age of 65, enhanced service and outreach for Medicare-eligible individuals who are Spanish or French-speaking with limited English proficiency, continue partnerships with Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, Senior Medicare Patrol, and AARP of the Virgin Islands, and build more community partnerships, and revamp the Mental Health in the Post-COVID Era, Grab a Hold of It outreach series, providing education on Medicare mental health benefits with presentations from licensed mental health professionals to assist Medicare beneficiaries in understanding and coping with increased feelings of loneliness, sadness, depression, and anxiety caused by the COVID pandemic. In FY 2026, the program will engage in radio public service announcement campaigns, informing the community of VI SHIP services and Medicare coverage options. Also, it is a small office. We commend the experienced and dedicated staff of the VI SHIP Medicare program for their hard work and dedication in assisting the territory's growing aging population in making sound and reasonable health coverage choices. Thank you to Director Rose Marie Maduro and Macy Mills in St. Thomas and St. John District, and Glenise Herbert and Odani Evans in the St. Croix District. We commend the experienced and dedicated staff of the VI SHIP Medicare program for their hard work. The Virgin Islands Passport Acceptance Facilities are the local agencies designated to accept applications for U.S. passports in the territory. The Virgin Islands falls under the Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs, Miami Passport Agency in this region. The Virgin Islands Passport Acceptance Facility plays a role in helping residents of the Virgin Islands obtain United States passports without having to travel to another U.S. jurisdiction. The staff in the Passport Division accepts passport applications, verifies the identity of passport applicants, and educates its customers about passport services and products. We are pleased to report that in FY 2024, the St. Thomas District again ranked in the top 10 for passport acceptance performance in the region. In fiscal year 2024, the amount of revenue collected was $1,300,000. $1,610. As of June 2025, the amount of revenue collected was $1,174,222, and the facilities are estimated to collect $1,345,910 in FY 2025, which is a 3.48 increase over FY 2024. The facilities are projected to collect $1,397,300 for FY 2026. The revenue collected by the facilities goes into the general fund. In FY 2025, the division continued its efforts to educate the public on new generation passport, travel safety, updated passport policies, reinforce the importance of early passport application to reduce delays and avoid extra fees, work with the San Juan Passport Agency to support urgent passport needs and compliance readiness, maintain strong community outreach across the travel safety programs like Smart Traveler Enrollment Program and International Parental Child Abduction, and ensured 100% certification for passport acceptance agents through Department of State training. For the third consecutive year, the St. Thomas District was ranked in the top 10, highlighting continued excellence in passport acceptance services. In FY 2026, the division strives to increase passport acceptance at local facilities by 20%, increase awareness and use of passport cards by 25%, and continue to teach travelers how to use the QR code features of their passports. Thank you to Supervisor Kishma Dorset and Antone Popo Jr. in the St. Thomas St. John District, and Supervisor Ruthland Peters and Malaysia Elizara in the St. Croix District. We commend the small but very dedicated and knowledgeable staff of the passport acceptance facilities who continue to provide this crucial service to the members of this community. The Division of Management Information Systems continues to provide technological support to all divisions within LGO, including system management, diagnostic support, and maintenance for all LGO's computer and technology systems. The staff of the division continues to upgrade security measures for the protection of LGO's data and to work with the various remote vendors contracted by LGO's divisions to create and maintain local systems and assist in contract negotiations regarding the technological systems that we utilize. We commend the staff of the MIS division for their hard work, commitment, and dedication in creating a more secure computer environment for LGO staff and ensuring that the goals and objectives of LGO's many divisions to enhance the services they provide and continue to generate significant revenues through automation are achieved. Thank you, Director Lance McKay, Deanna Hunt, Ludence Rumney Jr. in the St. Thomas St. John District, Cynthia Codrington, and Carl Derricks in the St. Croix District. The legal division plays a critical role in the day-to-day operations of LGO. Specifically, legal counsel plays a critical role in the contract practice for selecting vendors that are responsible for creating, maintaining, and supporting the systems and databases utilized by LGO's divisions to provide services and collect revenue. Legal counsel also drafts other legal documents and legislation needed for the operations of all LGO's divisions and works closely with the Virgin Islands Department of Justice to bring resolution to various legal matters affecting LGO. Additionally, legal counsel also provides legal advice and guidance to the Lieutenant Governor and the divisions within LGO regarding their statutory duties and responsibilities. The legal division also oversees the Notaries Public Division, which is directly responsible for the regulation of notaries public who are commissioned by the Lieutenant Governor to act as public servants. With the assistance of another LGO employee on the island of St. Croix, this division is staffed by one person who has served in the role of notary supervisor for the last 6 years. She has achieved membership in esteemed notary organizations, including National Notary Association, the Notary Association of America, and the American Association of Notaries, and demonstrates a steadfast commitment to upholding notarial integrity and deterring fraud in the Virgin Islands. The FY 2025 accomplishments of Notary Public's division include development of a comprehensive notary newsletter, Notary Bulletin to provide valuable updates, insights, and best practices for notaries, fostering improved communication and professional growth within the notarial community, maintenance and organization of all notarial files to comprehensively verify and update notaries' commissions, thereby improving operational efficiency and insurance compliance. The Notaries Public Division continues to celebrate Notary Public Day, which is observed on November 7th. In FY 2026, the Notaries Public Division strives to provide standardized training for new notaries, implement ongoing continuing education for experienced notaries, enhance the Notary Public website, provide online tools and resources, including application forms and FAQs, develop educational materials and campaigns to inform the public about notarial services, establish clear protocols for handling inquiries and complaints, host regular workshops and seminars to ensure notaries remain current, fostering knowledge and collaboration within the notary community, maintaining ongoing notary inspections for all notaries. In FY 2024, the Notaries Public Division collected $42,291. As of June 2025, the division collected $41,030 and is estimated to collect $49,730 in FY 2025, which is a 17.6% increase over FY 2024. The division is projected to collect $45,600 for FY 2026. We commend the Notaries Public Division for its hard work, dedication, and its many accomplishments. Thank you, Diana P. Brown, Supervisor of the Notaries Public Division, and Raquel Penn, Assistant to the Legal Counsel Division. We would also like to thank and commend Anise Canton, Petra Victor, and Augustine Holder, who assist the Lieutenant Governor Roach and operations of the office for their dedication and service. We are pleased to recognize our outstanding employees of the year, Jalan James in the St. Thomas District, and St. Croix District, and Jacqueline Jones in the St. Thomas St. John District. In addition, we thank this legislative body and Senator DeGraff for 3 interns that worked at the Office of Lieutenant Governor this summer, Makai Hart and Kayel Correa, who is actually in the chambers today, sitting in the back on my right. The other interns have finished their terms already, so she's the only summer intern left with us. Who worked in the Notaries Public Division, and Donnell Dominique, who worked in the Office of the Tax Assessor in the St. Thomas St. John District. The following summer interns worked at LGO from the Summer Youth Work Experience Program, Department of Labor. Tariq Edwards and Lenice Christopher worked in the Office of the Tax Assessor. Caitlin Sabrati in MIS St. Thomas St. John District, and Janaya Petty worked in the Recorder of Deeds Office in the St. Croix District. As always, the Lieutenant Governor Roach, extends his heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to the employees of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, recognizing their continued commitment to service and sacrifice to the Virgin Islands government and the people of this territory. He would also like to publicly thank the constituents for their input and for those who have taken the time to call and write to the office to commend the staff for their good work and stellar customer service. Mr. Chairman, we have presented you with an overview of the Office of Lieutenant Governor's Fiscal Year 2025 accomplishments and the Fiscal Year 2026 goals and objectives, which must be achieved to allow LGO to continue to improve the crucial services provided to the members of this community and to enhance its capabilities to continue to collect significant revenues for the government of the Virgin Islands. We thank you and your committee for this opportunity and hope for your favorable review and response to our requests. We are now ready and available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Acting Chief of Staff Nadja Harrigan. You could take a bow. You did well in that presentation there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now before I move on to the discussion about the budget, I want to welcome the non-committee member, Senator Carla J. Joseph, to the committee. Morning, Senator. Welcome. Have you received all of your allotment for fiscal year 2025 to date?
Claudette Farrington, no, Senator, not all of the allotment yet.
What is the delta? What are you short? Where are you short?
Well, they do the allotment on a monthly basis, so the last one would have been as of July. So we have 2 more months to go.
Okay. So the last you received of us July, so I mean you're up to date in terms of your allotment.
Yes.
You're up to date in your allotment.
Yes,
All right.
correct.
Any reductions or anything on those, or you got your full allotment as appropriated?
Full allotment.
Very well. Are you the recipient of any federal funds, any ARPA money, any money from Insular Affair, OIA?
We list the federal funds, VI SHIP. They're included in this information.
Right. So for the public benefit, I was just asking whether or not there's any federal funds that you receive and how much is that?
Well, our GIS division gets federal funds. We're a sub-grantee through the Housing Finance Authority and VITEMA, and the same thing with public assistance funds. So we're sub-grantee. We're only a direct grantee for the VI SHIP Medicare.
Very well. And in terms of what is your current revenues to date?
Behind the presentation by Attorney Harrigan, our revenues as of June 2025, we have $74,939,992 plus an additional $1,282,024 for the money transmission.
And let me take this opportunity to commend on my colleagues, certainly Senator Marvin Blyden and Senator Maurice James, in those 2 initiatives that brought in some additional funding to our coffers. Vendors payment, how much do you owe in vendors payment, or do you owe anything in vendors payment at this point?
Well, we have vendor payments in the system. I'm trying to think on the figure off the top of my head. Right now, we've been working with Department of Finance to get us through the end of July to see how much we can clear out. So we have a combination of payments that have been made, and we do have some in the system. I'll have to work up a number for you.
Okay, I'm more interested in the ones that's 60 days and older.
In the system?
Yes.
That I would have to check. 60 days and over?
60 days and over, you don't have any, or you'll have to check that?
I would have to check that. I'm sure we probably have a few.
Okay, all right. And in rental and leases, how much do you pay in aggregate for rental and leases at this point, and for how many locations?
We pay for rental and leases. 1 minute, please.
Our post audit is reflecting $1.4 million in rental and leases. Is that correct?
What page are you on, sir? 8.
Rental and leases is on page...
Yes, page 8.
8. That looks about right?
Yes.
That looks about right?
Yes, Senator.
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 locations.
Yes.
And tell me, is everyone out of King Cross Street, Christiansted?
No, we still have I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. No, Senator. The Office of the Tax Assessor is still located on the first floor of King Cross Street, as well as the one employee that's in GIS.
Okay. And that lease, you intend to extend that lease because it expired last month?
Just for the first floor, Senator.
Just for the first floor? So
Because banking and insurance was on the first, banking, insurance, and financial regulation was on the 3rd floor, and they've vacated the 3rd floor.
Okay. So you intend to maintain the lease, so obviously it'll be adjusted from the amount that you're paying now for that lease, if you just occupy the first floor?
Yes, Your Honor. It was built into the lease that way because we explained that we intended to move from the 3rd floor.
Okay. Very well. And what else before I open up the floor? So my colleagues real quickly. In the area of abandoned and unclaimed properties, I see that some of those properties go back to 2007. At what point do you, again, either auction those or what happens, or tell me what happens or at what point, because we're talking about some of these properties being 18 years plus. What happens next in that process, especially for those that have been there for such extended period of time?
Mr. Laird, are you on? I'm sorry, Glendina. I'm sorry, Attorney Matthew.
Good morning, Matthew, Director of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation. Senator, those are not real property. They are either bank accounts, it could be refunds due by utility companies, insurance companies, any financial institution that owes you any kind of refund. It would be turned over to the division, and we're responsible for getting it to the individuals. So these are not real property, and they remain available to consumers or individuals until they're able to claim it. So even if the individual themselves are not able to claim it, their family will be able to claim it.
That's understood, Attorney Matthews. So the question is, at what point or what happens next in the process? Some of these have been on the books for the last 18 years from 2007. What happened next in the process? Do we just continue to keep them on the books? Or what effort then is to pass them on to the family members at this point?
It remains on the books, as we indicated in the testimony. We have them available on the website, our LGO website, all of the listings from 2007, as well as we do have a new system, the Avenue system, where a person can also search for any unclaimed property. So it will remain available to individuals in this territory. So even if the individual themselves is not able to claim it, their family members can claim it on their behalf.
Understood. All right. And my last question before I open up to my colleagues at this point is, in terms of those delicate records that's what you have described as a mold-fested building, what happened to those records that's maintained in those buildings that you have moved staff from, but records continue to remain in those buildings?
Senator, what we have been told, Claudette Farrington, what we have been told is that there are special and unique processes that can address the remediation of such documents. So besides having mold remediation for facilities, there are companies that can facilitate that. So that's an area that we hope to explore.
Okay. So you have not initiated that process yet, but you intend to explore the opportunity to save those records before they're destroyed.
Yes,
okay.
Senator.
Very well. At this time, I'll open up the floor for a 5-minute round from my colleagues and Senator Blyden. The order will be going in this morning thus far: Senator Blyden, Senator Violet, Senator Frederick, Senator Angel Bolquez, Senator Maurice James, Senator Carlo J. Joseph. Senator Blyden, you're recognized for your 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good morning.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, I missed you, so I'll make sure I fit you in there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good morning. To my colleagues, staff, central staff, listening viewing audience, good morning. Acting, no, she's not director.
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff?
Acting Chief of Staff,
and counsel,
Senator.
And counsel, and your supporting team there, and thank you so much for your most comprehensive testimony. Before I go into my questions in terms of budget, let me just state my frustration, though, with government as a whole, communication and collaboration between different agencies. Here it is in your testimony on page 12. You spoke to anticipating 570 installment plans for property tax payments, etc., in order for folks to maintain their homes. And we have a government program that has over $8 million in it right now to assist individuals to attain this exact goal. pay your property taxes. If you don't have insurance, it's hurricane season coming up, help pay your insurance up to $65,000. It does so much things for homeowners. If you're behind in your mortgage payments, it assists you with getting caught up, and we are not communicating. It frustrates me so much. It makes no sense. When these initiatives come out, that should be shared among different entities. That list that you have, it needs to go to HFA, please, like today, so they can assist those individuals in assuring that they save their homes. I just wanted to put it out there. It's very important. Okay?
Thank you, Senator.
Now let's go into your testimony. On page 12. Go to page 12. No, not page 12, I'm sorry. Page 10 of your testimony. You spoke about folks with accounting backgrounds that's needed to conduct financial analysis of licensed companies doing business in the territory. That's critical also. Correct?
That's correct, Senator.
How much individual do you need to fill in order to accomplish this purpose? How much individuals or how much vacant position do we have?
I'll let, if Attorney Matthew? Do you know?
Good afternoon, Glendina Matthew, Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation. Currently, we have one open position on St. Croix, and we have approximately 3 open positions on St. Thomas for the financial services examiner position. There are some other positions open, but accounting backgrounds are not needed for those positions.
Those 4 positions I want to talk to specifically. Do you believe the salary is where it needs to be at? And if not, what is being done to assure that we can onboard people, because those positions are very critical to your operations and accountability of these companies? Can someone speak to that, please?
Senator, the reality is, in regards to the salaries, that is the challenge. Many times you're competing with other agencies who may have higher salaries, and we're asking for the same requirements for those positions. So I think if we had higher salaries, we would be able to attract more persons to those positions.
How long have these positions been vacant?
These positions have been vacant based on persons being either retiring or resigning from the position. So it varies, maybe 2-3 years, depending on when the person had left.
Just my point. That's too long. And the role that they play, right? How much revenues do we bring in that division on an annual basis, average?
1 minute.
And while you're doing that, can someone go to page 8 of the post auditor's report on a professional service contracts? I know you had a contract that expired in March of this year. That was $636,609. It was showing annual payment for 2024. But were all those funds expended? And what were all those funds expended?
The figure, Senator
Yes?
Claudette Farrington, the contract expired right now.
30 seconds.
Where it's in progress, we're working. It's a contract that has to be continued. It addresses the system for our Division of Corporations and Trademarks. The figures you're looking at indicate the payments for respective fiscal years. We're still paying down currently for 2025.
Okay.
We normally pay on a monthly basis.
Okay, very well. And did you find the figures for the amount that is collected
for
that
Division
division?
of Banking?
Yes.
For Division of Banking, Insurance, and Financial Regulation, they collected
approximately $35 million in fiscal year 2024, and is projected to collect about $38 million in fiscal year 2025, along with another 2 million plus in money transmission fees.
Exactly, and they do a lot of work. And my point is, we need to be creative and find a way to adjust those salaries in order to onboard an individual to assist in carrying out the mission and goal of the division. And I want to thank all of you for doing a good job, in my opinion. At your division, you collect the most money for the government of the Virgin Islands. And I want to say, continue to do the work, but let's ramp up a little bit to see how we can be creative in onboarding those individuals. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for the time. Thank you for your responses.
Thank you very much, Senator Blight. And I too want to join in commending the Lieutenant Governor's office. Obviously, you're the second wheel on the bus, in terms of the funding that comes into the coffers of the Virgin Islands, and being the chair of Budget Appropriations and Finance. Certainly, I appreciate the efforts that have been made to ensure that we continue to collect monies, and the tune of your projection for FY 2026 is $131 million, and we saw where you're nearing, or you're projected to collect about $128 million during FY 2024. The building that has been purchased on First Bank has been very concerning to me, that you have had that building for quite some time. How long? When was it that you closed on that building?
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. It was February of 2024.
February of 2024. And I heard in your testimony you talk about the prioritization of a number of things that needed to be done. But I think that when we look at your expenditures of $1.4 million in rentals, I think it's so critical that you're able to move into your own building, and there's an opportunity there. And I just wanted to get from you, what is the timeline that have been set to place the individual's unit within that new purchase building?
As I stated in the testimony, Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. As I stated in the testimony, we've begun the process of procuring the 2 AC units and the condenser. I'm not sure how long that process will take. Hopefully it won't be long. The process in which to remove the old ones and replace the new ones isn't going to be a long process. So we're hoping that that will come to fruition very shortly. Within the next couple of weeks, we will be doing another assessment inside to determine what exactly needs to be done. So we have a plan in place to assiduously address this issue so that we can get moved into the building as soon as possible.
Well, what's taking so long for the assessment, though? You purchased the building, you closed on it. Before you purchased the building, you had an idea of how you were going to utilize the building. I'm sure you had done a walkthrough and look at the building and make a determination how you want to retrofit it. What's taking so long? It's been it'll be over a year since you've closed on the building. What's taking so long for you to make a determination, path forward, and what's needed to address that?
Nadja Harrigan, Acting Chief of Staff, Legal Counsel. Understanding it's taken a while, but as stated in the testimony as well, there were mold issues in other offices that we had to address immediately, not only for the employees of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, but also for customers and constituents that would frequent the office to conduct business. So it got to a point where the mold count was excessively high and was adversely affecting even our employees, so we had to address that situation. All I can say is moving forward, we've begun the process, and we are going to move forward. We've spoke to an architect, and we have plans on meeting with him, and we are going to move forward with this project as soon as possible.
Thank you for that. I just want to say, I think that we could walk and chew gum at the same time. And I think that, again, putting these employees in a comfortable, especially when you talk about mold-fested, mold is a serious problem in this territory, and certainly you have a new building that you're moving towards, so I think that there's some opportunity there for you to minimize that mold exposure by placing them in a decent building. But that, to me, is taking some time, and I'm hoping that, based on your testimony, based on your word here today, that we could really see some movement in that.
Yes, Senator. Well, the Office of the Recorder of Deeds is very happy in their new home. Temporary home.
Yes. All right. Good show. Senator Verle, you recognize for your 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to the people of the Virgin Islands. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, testifiers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for your testimony. If I didn't know the employees of the Lieutenant Governor Office, I now know each and every one of them by name.
Yes, that's right.
I know you say the employees are happy, but they're happy at the expense of the government paying rent. And we purchased a building for almost $1 million. And the money for that building was allocated when I was back in the Senate my last term, and I've been out for 2 years. So it's been going on 4 years that we allocated money for those buildings just so that we could reduce the rent. And not seeing the movement, is disheartening. Because that is a nice building. First Bank was in that building for years. The building was usable when we purchased it. And by the time we get in, we're going to hear you have a million other problems because it's shut down 4 years. So we got to get in the building. We paying $272,000 for the King Cross. How much has that been reduced since you're not using the third floor? What's the new amount?
Senator, I can't give you an exact amount, but it's 18 or 19,000 a month?
Yes, it's 19,000 a month, but the question is how much it will reduce. And I think it's going to go down to 100 and something. I don't have an exact figure, but 100 and something thousand.
Okay, and if you're able to get usage of the building that you purchased, would that amount go to zero?
Ultimately, yes. Ultimately,
and that's what we
ultimately
need.
When we move. Can I make a comment, Senator, if you don't mind? You mentioned the passage of the legislation, which is true.
It took a long time to close.
No, I'm just saying, yes, we had to go through the negotiation process. We worked in concert to go through the negotiation process to arrive at a figure, and we also we had to get appraisers, which was a bit
I understand all of that.
Okay, I just wanted to
I do understand that clearly, but remember now that this is July.
Yes, I understand.
You close in March. Assessment should have been done. AC units should have been ordered. Do you have sufficient monies for the AC unit, etc., to get that building up and going?
Well, a little help will always be good, Senator, because I know with the passage.
I know you're good with numbers. So
no, I'm just saying the passage of the legislation, there was some remnants. So if this body would allow us to retain that to help facilitate with the AC unit, that would be a plus as well.
So you didn't use the entire amount?
No.
And you want to have access? You want to have access to the remainder of the amount to purchase AC units, etc.
Exactly. It's a small amount, but
okay,
yes.
so we can have a discussion right after.
Thank you.
How many employees you have that are making less than $35,000?
We have 6 employees.
Well, what's the cost to bring them up to $35,000?
Okay.
To include fringe. You have that?
Yeah, I need to pull it out.
Okay, you go ahead and pull it up. And before I move on to other parts, one of the uniqueness of being on the finance committee is that you have an opportunity to see the salaries of every single government department, and you're able to make comparison. And from when I left in the 34 to back in the 36, do you think that your rank and file employees' salaries are pretty flat?
Pretty flat?
Not leadership. Rank and file have not had much variation over the last 4 years, 5 years?
Well, we have implemented as part of the negotiation process. We implemented salary increases for the rank and file.
That was a 3%?
2023, 2024, and the last implementation was actually for Fiscal Year 2025.
It was, what, a 3%?
No, it's what was negotiated with their union.
And what was it? Do you remember the average?
It varied based on the position, but some positions did better than others, but it went up not only vertically, horizontally. The lower ones could do better, but some of the higher positions, so it varied. Some positions did very well, but others can do better.
Okay. When you're doing like 3-4% of a low number, it is a low number, so the increase is marginal. You give an increase, but it's really, when you equate it out, it's really, really nothing. And I'm looking at a lot of the other government departments that come in with similar titles, similar position, but don't have the responsibility that the lieutenant governor office have in terms of raising money, and their salaries are literally better. I'm seeing some department, I open my eye and I'm like, wow, okay, this department doing pretty well, all of the employees. And
1 minute.
Others and there's an issue.
Okay,
But-
to answer your question, Senator, we have 6 positions that are under the 35,000.
Okay.
5 of them are filled, 1 is vacant, and the cost to bring them to that level would be 30,000.
Okay. And I'm glad we put that on the record, because there was a myth out there that this $35,000 is going to broke the government, cause financial instability. And for some departments, it's marginal. It's 1 vacant position not filled. It's not even an additional appropriation. It is so easy to give these individuals a decent salary. And some of them are working for these institutions 20, 25 years, especially those we have that are custodians and food service. They're working a long time. Now,
30 seconds.
Your number of separations?
Number of separations, we had,
To include retirees?
how many? What you said?
No, I said to include retirees.
to include
Individuals that
retirees.
retired.
Senator, I stated in the testimony 8 separations to include 5 resignations and 2 retirements.
And how many positions were filled?
We filled about 9 positions. We do a lot of in-house promotion, so not just bringing people on
Okay,
board.
so we had like +1.
Yeah, so for
Lose it,
right.
gain 9. Okay. Quickly, property tax. What's the outstanding amount owed for property tax? Not for this current year, but what is the outstanding amount absent this current year that is owed for property tax?
Time.
Mr. Leardom, are you still on?
Yes, Brent Laird, I'm tax collector. The amount owed for property taxes right now is just around 100 million.
Okay, and that dates back to how long? To how far?
That dates back to somewhere in the 1970s.
Okay. Timeshare, is that finally together that we're collecting the amount we need to collect for the timeshare units as a result of the legislation that was passed, or do we still have a large amount of timeshare owners not paying the taxes?
There's still consolidation projects being done by the Office of the Tax Assessor, and they're working through those. They take a very long amount of time, but they're diligently working on that. Tax Assessor can speak more to that.
Okay, so for the current year, timeshare units on St. Thomas, you don't really have any timeshare on St. Croix. Are they submitting en masse the payment? Have we reached to agreement with these timeshare operation that moving forward, they're going to be billing and then submit the money to the Lieutenant Governor office as prescribed by the bill? Are we to the point where we're doing that now?
Well, for the consolidation that has been done, specifically with Bluebirds, the association is able to do that. But Senator, I would differ with you on the interpretation of that law, because it also gives them the right to pay what they have been paid and leaves the rest of the taxpayers to the tax collector to chase behind. So it's not entirely how you represent
Okay,
it.
but that is past due amount. I'm saying moving forward, you're supposed to enter into agreement with the timeshare association for that particular complex, collect all of the taxes from all of the units and submit that to the Lieutenant Governor office. Is that being done?
That's the work in progress with the consolidation plan, because once the tax assessor finishes consolidating each association, they first have to remit the past due amounts before we talk about going forward. So it's still a work in progress, but it is being done.
This is over 5 years ago. We're passing legislation to be able to collect taxes that are outstanding and owed to the people of the Virgin Islands. This 5 years ago, this bill passed. 5, 6 years. We could never reach to conclusion in getting anything done. And that bothers me. You know, this entity does well. And I commend all of the workers. But some of these decisions are questionable. We're bragging about building the house of the office of the Lieutenant Governor and the building that we need to move in short. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator VLA. Mr. Romney, you wanted to say anything on that? You wanted to weigh in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Lieutenant Romney, tax assessor.
Please recognize the mic of Mr. Romney. You may proceed.
Lieutenant Romney, tax assessor. The issue with the timeshares is something that we're working out. And when it's completed, we will only be receiving one bill. It is not our intention, and we don't think that anybody besides the government should be making a decision about how and when taxes should be paid. And so once the process is completed and the rules are set, the timeshares will be paying the timeshare association will be paying one bill. Because part of the confusion is that a timeshare is really not real property. By definition in the code, real property are immovables. And so once we clarify that matter and things are set, we shouldn't have the situation that we have. It will be one bill issued to the condo association for that.
Yeah, that's understood, Mr. Romney. That's the legislation that was created. I think the question is in terms of the process, the urgency in putting these things in place so that we could be able to collect on these things. Time is not our friend. We need to take night and make day and move on some of these. We have these circular discussion that as we come to every budget hearing, where we keep hearing things are in progress, has started, we intend to. We really want to know, some timelines, some definitive timeline in terms of getting that wrapped up. So again, the question to you is, when do you believe you'll be able to close the loop for implementation? What has been the mandate or the orders from the powers to be to make sure that we're moving as per the legislation?
Well, I am hoping by the time the next set of bills come out that this matter is closed and there will be one bill to each timeshare, each condo association for the timeshares.
And when is those bills due next?
That's next year, June.
Next year, June. All right. Yeah, follow up, Senator Viola, you recognize.
Thank you so much. When the bill was crafted, it was done with legal counsel for all of the timeshares on St. Thomas. One person was representing just about all of them. And it was done in conjunction with the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. Tell us what you need in the bill to make it work. And that is the bill we passed, where if you have 40 units, instead of billing 52 individuals a week for each unit times 40, it would be one bill to the association and they make the payment to the Lieutenant Governor office. At that point, there were associations that had money in escrow that were not paying because they couldn't get the bills reconciled, etc. So we devised an easy process. One bill, Lieutenant Governor office sent, one bill to the association, and the association is responsible to collect the property tax from all the owners for that one unit, the 52 owners, or how many you have for that one unit. And to know that we're still in the process of trying to reconcile or do anything, we got to do better than that. If there's a need to amend something in the bill, then come back to this body and let us know. But we can't have that excuse where at the point associations were saying we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in escrow that is owed to the government, but we can't pay it because we can't reconcile the information that we need. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Viola. Senator Carla J. Joseph, you're recognized for your point of information.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good day to everyone. I wanted to just follow up. How much staff do you have Mr. Romney working with you? Because I'm wondering if it is that you need additional staffing to be able to really pull and move this needle on this issue. What is the ask? Do you need additional staffing so that you could, or a system? What is it that is needed for us to be able to move this issue quickly along?
We need additional staff, but not necessarily for that issue. For that particular issue, I think at some point we may come back to this body to ask to make some amendments to the bill before we move forward.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Now we understanding what some of the hiccups may be. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Senator DeGraff, you recognize. We're coming to you, Senator. Senator DeGraff, you recognize for your point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. What is it? Tax Assessor Romney? That's it.
Yes.
Tax Assessor Romney. What is being done now? Are we collecting anything at all from the timeshare?
Yes, but it's the confusion is in some cases the timeshare owners are wanting to pay, but it should be the association that's paying. So again, we have to clarify some things, and we just need to get some things clarified with some of the associations, because they have issues that they think is one thing, and we don't agree with them. So
we turning money away?
No.
We're not doing that? Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the time, Mr.
Thank you, Senator DeGraff. Senator Maurice James, you recognize for your point of information.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to follow up on the timeshare question. Is it that in the Virgin Islands, because I don't know the answer to this, the timeshares are not deeded timeshares, and so they're considered personal property interests? Or is it, can you tell me if that's the crux of the matter? Because if they were deeded timeshares, I have a deeded timeshare in another state, and so you pay property taxes on it. So is that part of the issue? I'm just trying to get some understanding of what's happening with the timeshare ownership and how it's structured in the Virgin Islands. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator James. Mr. Romney, you may respond.
Lawrence Romney, tax assessor. By law, the Virgin Islands is supposed to follow the standards of the International Association of Assessing Officers. The International Association of Assessing Officers does not consider timeshares to be real property. Now, there are some states that they tax timeshares, but they tax them because they don't treat them as real property, and they're allowed to tax them under another regime. The law says that real property one of the definitions is immovables. So this is part of the contention in the issue in settling the timeshare bills within the Virgin Islands. In the past week, I've met with one attorney that represents one of those associations. In the next coming week, I am meeting with another attorney that deals with that issue. They are saying they have the money to pay, but they want, in my estimation, and I'm not trying to put words in their mouth or anything, but my understanding is where they're coming from is they want to determine how the terms, and so that's why I said we may need to come back before this body to clarify and adjust the way the law is written to say things. I don't want to speak those details on the floor. I rather speak with you after to say some of those things, and then once we clean those things up, we can get that done. But basically, we can only tax real property. And that's the closest I can come to saying any of the details.
Oh, very well. We just know that we're available for that discussion and whatever amendment that's required for us to be able to tie up any loose end or loopholes within the legislation so that we can move forward on that. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Hubert Frederick. You recognize for your 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
may I add to that?
Good morning, colleagues. A pleasant good morning, testifiers, listening and viewing audience, my staff and central staff. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. 1, 2, 1, 2. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say I was excited that this is the second highest revenue, grossing revenue in the government, and they continue to be. No one is even close. You know, you guys are like, if this was a horse race, you guys would be way out there. So personally, normally my approach would be to talk about your costs, but I'm not going to do that today because you're generating revenues. You're doing what we want most of our agencies, if not all, to do. Try to generate some money to take the burden, the financial burden off of us as a community. My concern is on the vacancies. I wasn't sure. There were some inconsistencies. Your testimony spoke to 91 position on page 3. The post audit, there's 29. So help me out with what's going on with the variances with the positions.
Claudette Farrington. Senator, for fiscal year 2025, I think there might be some misinformation, but when the budget was constructed, there were constraints in terms of the number of positions that you could have vacant, positions that were available. Initially, the thought was it was limited to 5. We ended up with 6. Then close to end of finishing the budget, we did ask for 3 additional positions. Those, you've heard of those 3 real property tax appraiser one. It was a process. We were having challenges building appraiser position, assistant appraiser position. So we did a revamp, of the process, updated the specs, changed the names, went through a lot of job fairs and different ways to attract people as a part of that process. And by doing that, we were fortunate to not only get the 3 positions, but we were fortunate to bring on 3 individuals. Well, we brought on 2 new coming in, and 1 was promoted. So back in 2025 with the budget also, in terms of the vacant positions, I don't know if you recall, but many of them were not at a FTE of 1. Some of them was 0.5. I don't want to sit here and say you can't fill half of a position or if it's going to take you half of the fiscal year. So the structure was different for the general fund positions. We had started out the year with 24 vacancies, and they've been adjusted because sometimes as soon as you fill a position, we had a position in banking, as soon as we fill a position, somebody vacates it and move on to a next. They use us to get their foot in the door, and they move on to another agency that's paying more money. So we have the position vacant again, and here's our second term in filling it. So that has been some of the challenges we had for fiscal year 2025. Fortunately now to me, for fiscal year 2026, it's not structured like that. You are given a ceiling, you are allowed to work within that ceiling to get, once you address your filled position, to get as many vacant positions as you could.
Which is the 91 as per the testimony?
91 positions as the general fund, right?
Yes, page 3.
Page 3, 91 positions. I'm looking at the post
because
audit.
When I look at the post audit, I counted 32.